What's up everybody, it's Sean here and I'm back today to give you a review of the Marvel collaboration with Adidas on this Ultra 4D in the Spider-Man 2 colorway. First off, I want to give a huge thank you over to PlayStation Canada for sending me over this pair. This is a special limited edition version of the Adidas Ultra 4D, which celebrates the launch of the newest Spider-Man game for the PlayStation 5, Spider-Man 2 by Sony Interactive Entertainment and Insomniac Games. So these released on October 20th, coinciding with the release of the video game, and they retailed for a price of $220 US, or a very expensive $320 here in Canada. And the official colorway for this shoe is Vivid Red, Cloud White, and Core Black. So obviously the design of the shoe is inspired by Spider-Man, but specifically, it's actually inspired by Peter Parker's advanced Spider-Man suit, and specifically the moment when the Venom symbiote begins to take over that suit. So that explains why the bottom of the shoe is left in black, whereas the top of the shoe is more your classic Spider-Man costume colors. First things first though, here's a quick look at the box. So this comes in a custom box for this release, which I thought was really dope. So as you can tell, it's done in the split fashion with this side here left in that classic Spider-Man red color, whereas on this side, it again represents that Venom symbiote just taking over Spider-Man's costume. So we have Adidas and Spider-Man 2 co-branding on the very top, as well as on the sides of the box as well. So diving into the details of this shoe, the majority of the upper of the sneaker, this is constructed out of Adidas Prime Knit in this bold red color. And according to the Adidas website, I believe 50% of the materials used on the shoe are recycled materials, which is always really nice to see. So in typical Prime Knit fashion, it is extremely flexible and it pretty much fits like a sock. Surrounding the front toe cap, we have this fuse-like overlay in this dark blue color, and you can see here we have this glossy black finish, which looks like that Venom alien, which is just creeping up and onto the Spider-Man suit above. Covering the sides of the shoe, of course we have the signature cage, and this is actually covered in a synthetic red colored leather. And where the Adidas stripes are, these are covered in these shiny white stripes with subtle gray detailing found within, and this again is a nod to Spider-Man's advanced suit. Moving further down, you can see this ankle collar area. There's additional padding here, but it's still covered in Adidas Prime Knit. And then beneath this, the heel cup here covers the sides of the shoe. This again is covered in this synthetic red leather, and we have Ultra 4D branding pressed on in white on the lateral side. Running down the center of the heel, we have this woven pull tab, which has a semi-translucent finish to it. And then as we turn our attention back to the front, as far as the laces go, so these only come with one lace option, and they're a flat style lace in red, but they come with these black lace tips with the PlayStation logo on them. Underneath this, because this is a one-piece booty-like fit, the tongue of the shoe is connected to the rest of the sneaker. So the bottom half is the exact same Prime Knit, but then the top of the tongue, there's more padding here, and it's covered in a very fine translucent netting with this red colored embroidery found within it, which looks like Spider-Man's webbing. And on the very top of the tongue, we have this reflective 3M tag in red with Spider-Man's logo in the center in white. The interior of the shoe is lined in this red colored mesh. And then as far as the insoles go, these come with the typical insole that you find in any Adidas Ultra 4D. So it's a pretty thin foam layer, but then on the top of the insole, it's lined in this black colored fabric. And we have Marvel, Spider-Man's logo, the PlayStation logo, and Insomniac Games logo here as well. So the upper of the sneaker, this sits atop Adidas's 4D midsole. So I'm sure you guys have seen this by now, but this is 3D printed in this lattice-like structure. So depending on the area of the midsole, the gaps within this midsole can be a little bit closer together or more expanded, depending on if you need more support or cushioning. So the forefoot area obviously is a bit more stiff, whereas on the heel of the shoe where you need more impact protection, the lattice structure here is a bit more spaced out to really help when you land on your heels to give you the impact protection that you need. And one thing I found interesting though is in pictures, this 4D midsole looks completely black, but in real life it's actually a bit translucent in this lightly gray shade. So in my opinion, it even looks more like webbing to me, more so than the Venom symbiote. Finally, turning this pair over to the bottom, so this outsole is entirely constructed out of a black colored rubber. We have this very interesting traction pattern that transitions from X's to nubs, but I'm pretty sure this is the standard Ultra 4D outsole that you'd see across the board. So that breaks down the look and the construction of this pair. And for those wondering about sizing, for the most part these do fit true to size, so that's what I'd recommend. My foot measures as a true size 10, slightly on the wider side. I got sent these in a size 10 and they fit me perfectly. Keep in mind the upper of the shoe is extremely flexible and it fits like a sock, so even if your feet are a little bit more on the wider side, I feel like true to size should fit you fine as well. But whatever size you normally wear for the Adidas Ultra 4D, I'd stick with that exact same size and you should be fine for this pair. Next up, in terms of the comfort, so this shoe is pretty comfortable, but to my surprise, it's been a while since I've worn an Ultra 4D, but it definitely feels like it's more on the flatter side and it feels surprisingly low to the ground. So when you compare this to, for example, an Ultra Boost definitely have more of a bouncy and trampoline-like feel, whereas these ones don't have that same amount of responsiveness. So like I said, it feels surprisingly stable, low to the ground, and while the heel of the shoe gives you a decent amount of squishiness and rebound, the forefoot in comparison feels a lot more stiff, a lot more flat, and there's not too much cushioning for the ball of your foot. But overall, this shoe is still very comfortable, especially if you prefer more of that low to the ground, firmer feel. Finally, in terms of the quality and the craftsmanship on this shoe, so material quality, this shoe is all made out of recycled and synthetic materials, so there's really nothing special about the materials, but I do have to say though, even though this cage is synthetic leather, it was a welcome addition compared to the typical TPU material that Adidas often uses for its midfoot cages. And from a build and craftsmanship standpoint, I thought the upper of the shoe was pretty well put together, the stitch job was good, the panels were consistently placed and cut. The only issue I had was there was a lot of glue around the midsole area where it connects to the upper. But if that's the biggest of problems, that's usually a good sign. There really wasn't anything else I had to complain about this pair. So with all that out of the way now, let me toss these on feet, I'll lace them up for you and I'll show you guys how these look. For any major hardcore Spider-Man fan out there, this is a great colorway that really captures that moment of the Venom symbiote merging with Spider-Man's costume really well. I know a lot of people weren't crazy about these black marks on the upper, but I think this really sells the story. And I thought Adidas, PlayStation, Sony, whoever was involved with the design of this shoe, they really knocked this one out of the park. In terms of a shoe being actually wearable, this is definitely not the most wearable sneaker. When you look at this, this really screams Spider-Man. So in that sense, it doesn't really make it a shoe that you can really wear too often, as it is extremely loud and it is very distinct. But like I said, if you are a hardcore fan of Spider-Man, I think this is a great collection piece. I just don't know how often I'm actually gonna wear this shoe. This is probably a shoe I'd wear at like Fan Expo, for example, or if I'm gonna be watching a new Spider-Man or Marvel movie. But on a day-to-day basis, I think this is probably gonna be a shoe that's gonna be left on my shelf more so than on my feet. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about this Marvel and Adidas Ultra 4D in the Spider-Man 2 colorway? What are your thoughts on the design and the colorway of this pair? Did you also pick up a pair of these? Were you scared off by the high price point, or you just weren't a fan of the design? As always, if you guys like this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can follow me on Instagram at sgo8, check out my X or Twitter account at sean.go spelled out, and visit my website at seango.ca. So thanks so much for watching. Another huge thank you goes out to PlayStation Canada. Thank you so much for sending me over this pair. Appreciate everyone for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys all in my next video.